the corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation. Organic conversation. Like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love. And everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about a community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We are back. We are back with another one. And as always, I am just delighted to have another queen with us on here. This sister, I found her. Yo, let me back up again. Y'all know I do not like social media. I do not like social media. But I found her on social media, and it has been a gift and a curse, and she's definitely has been a gift to meet and speak with. I wanted to bring her to the community because she is, her topic is near and dear to my heart. It's actually who I am, what made me like this, what she is embodying, what made me who I am today. And I'll get more into the topic as we go along. But some of the things she had out there, I was just like, I got to speak to her because I don't see many females doing what you're doing. So I wanted to bring her on the show, and this is another episode of When My Sister Wins, We All Win, and definitely salute her for winning. Soon to be doctor. There we go.
Soon to be.
Yes, indeed. Soon to be Dr. Shanay Howard. How are you doing there?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I know, hey, you may not like social media. I'm not a big fan of social media, but it is a gift and a curse, right? And this is a gift, right? I keep meeting amazing people like yourself. And so I'm so excited to be on here.
Well, I'm definitely excited to have you. I wanted to find out more about yourself. People see things on social media, but they don't really know the person. So I wanted to get a chance to find out who you are, what got you to this point. I always joke around. I want to hear the diaper story, but what got you into to who you are today?
Well, I was born and raised in Queens, New York, and basketball was something that was introduced to me actually late. So I was almost 12, going on 13 years old when I decided to pick up the ball. But it was 1997 during that time frame when the WNBA came to the scene. I was like, hold on. I think I may want to play basketball now. I was dancing, I was doing all that. But I was like, let me try basketball. Fast forward, I played for an awesome program in Rosedale, Queens called Positive Direction. Under the direction of Joanne Arbitella Pennock. And she saw something in me that, let me tell you, my mother didn't see it, and I didn't see it either. Because homegirl, when I went in the gym, I shot the ball over the rim. But she said, "Hey, let's just work with her, right? Let me work with her. Let's see what this takes." And the notion of somebody from the community believing in me and something that was outside of me just doing my schoolwork was great. And fast forward, I got a Division I scholarship out of high school, playing basketball at Fairleigh Dickinson University, but was always key in my academics. I was a double major. I was in the honors program in Fairleigh Dickinson. Like, I was always about my books. And then I got this amazing opportunity to be a student representative for my whole conference in Division I with the NCAA. So that's where my passion came from. I got to see behind the scenes. They flew us all over the place during our breaks. And when I got back and I was about senior year and I decided I wasn't going to play overseas, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And it was about giving back to the community and then helping student athletes get to the next level. Like, granted, that wasn't my story. I always had great grades, but I really didn't understand what it took to get a scholarship outside of me playing on the court. I knew that I had the grades. I knew I had this, but I was like, there's a gap missing. And I dove straight into it. And I was like, wow, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't know about academic eligibility. They don't know about any of this. And so I found myself in it. And from there, I just started talking about it. Obviously, my coach, Joanne, allowed me to come back to the gym once I graduated and do it there as an education director there with their program. And once I started seeing the impact and how much I was doing, even on this small scale, it was just something that, transcended what I do today. And today I do it all the time as an educational consultant and also as an education director for a program now that I live in the DMV area for Team Durant.
Oh, excellent. Okay. I did see you with Mr. Durant there. So, okay. That is excellent. Yep. So I gave a little hint to my background, but the same thing you just said, it hit home that somebody saw something in you that possibly your parents didn't see in you. You didn't see in yourself. You didn't know the potential was in there. And I had a chance to play for Riverside up in New York, and you know them, but and had coaches that gave me the opportunity, coaches that picked me up, coaches that flew us around the country and everything else, but not knowing the business behind it is the biggest thing, and having parents that don't know the business is the next step. So having someone like yourself who's an advocate for students and the families means a lot. So in saying that, what are some of the key things that you speak to parents and students about?
Key things is academics. And I start early, like, yes, schools want you to go to school, take your core classes, math, English, science, history, but making sure you understand your child is, number one, attending a school or on the path to attend a school that has NCAA approved courses by the time they're in high school. And that's imperative. A lot of times when you're at the elementary and that middle school level, it's you just have to be promoted to the next grade. But what's happening now in many of the sports is young people are repeating grades or deciding to attend schools on online programs that are not necessarily accredited. And then when it's time and they actually grow 6 inches, or maybe they don't grow 6 inches, and it's time for them to get their college scholarship, they're looking back at some of those high school courses that they did take. Maybe they took them early in middle school or late, and those courses are not counting. And that's what I talk to families about, particularly around that 8th grade into high school year. It's imperative that whatever school you're looking at for your child to attend, or whatever school your child is attending once they're in high school, that they have NCAA approved core courses. And that's really one of the biggest things I harp on, because you'll be surprised how many people don't know the difference between NCAA approved core courses versus that of their standard graduation requirements. And like places like New York and Georgia, they all have different graduation requirements, right? Testing and all that. And that's the job of the school system, to concentrate on that. But for NCAA or potential student athletes, they have to concentrate and make sure they're getting those 16 core courses in places that they need to get them so that they can receive that scholarship when the time is right.
Should this not only be coming from you, should the coaches be setting this out early on? That's
Absolutely.
Keyword should.
Should. Keyword should. Keyword, this is a conversation when we're at grassroots level. Take care of your business in the classroom. Take care on the court. Then, when you're playing on these, you play for Riverside, so it's a big name team in New York. But it's even when these kids when they start getting into 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and they start deciding, oh, I want to go play for this school. I want to go to this school. They want to go to that school because maybe that's a big name in some basketball. They need to make sure they're going to be set up for success academically when they're attending these schools, especially if they're doing, and this is the buzzword, everyone talks about it every day, reclassification. If they're deciding to reclass or do something along those lines, it is even more imperative that they're making sure the school they're attending is knowledgeable of NCAA eligibility. The coaches too. We're not trying to just win high school games. We're trying to get scholarships. And so they need to be, that's part of the conversation that needs to happen early on.
So one thing I would say probably 90% of the audience, probably 99% of the audience does not know what reclassification is. Can you explain what reclassification is and why, pros and cons behind it?
Absolutely. So reclassification is when a student athlete potentially decides to either change their graduation class earlier or later. And majority of student athletes these days do it where they're repeating a grade or a year in their high school career, and they end up graduating later. So that means they're getting 5 years in high school versus that 4. There are few that do repeat in junior high school or middle school, and then you'll see they're reclassed backwards, like a Cooper Flagg, who is the #1 basketball recruit right now. He's reclassed early to graduate early, and he's leaving. But then there are many that just reclass and do 5 years. So reclassification is the changing of that year of graduation, and it starts in 9th grade. I know we use the term colloquial in like middle school, and before then like a reclass 8th grade or reclass 7th grade. But by NCAA standards, your eligibility clock starts at 9th grade. And so they count reclassification in regards to that from the high school years.
So why would I want to reclass?
So some students, and more recently, reclass because they say they need to be mature.
I'm laughing because, okay, so we haven't talked about this, guys. So I want to answer why I'm laughing. After being in high school, after playing ball, after coaching AAU for so long, this is the newest. People have been doing it forever, but this is the newest, biggest thing that kids are doing. So that's why I'm laughing. So excuse me, it's an inside thing. Can you please explain why? What's the benefit of doing it?
Some, I've heard all different reasons, and I'll give you a list. Some do it because of age, right? My child is young. They started kindergarten early, and so they're on the younger end. Most of the kids in their grade are a year early, so I want them to meet up. Academically, which should be the main reason why anyone reclassed, they're behind, and they need to improve their academics, or they're changing from public school to private school, and so they need an extra year of academics. But a lot of the times people reclass because they think it's going to give them an advantage in the sports world, right? It's gonna give them. They're late bloomers. They didn't shoot up. They didn't grow the 5 inches that's waiting for them in that second year. Things of that nature. So people reclass for that reason. And especially since COVID, we've seen an increase in it, I would say. And to be honest, education wasn't equitable during that time frame. And as an educator myself who works in the school system, I know what I worked in a public school and a private school during the pandemic, and I know that it wasn't the same. And I got to experience that firsthand. So there are some legitimate reasons for some students to reclass because there's gaps there that they did academically need to fill in this extra year. And the NCAA, as you saw there was gaps on the other end too, and gave that extra year for the student athletes. But we're getting to a place now where the pandemic reclassification and all that is starting to die down. And literally, there should be academic or a really, really strong reason for a student to reclass if they're doing it, like a very huge injury, medical reclass, things of that nature.
So you're talking about the 27-year-old freshman coming in?
Yeah, in college. Yeah. Well, I read something a couple of months ago, and they said the average age in college sports, and particularly basketball, football may be a little bit younger, was 22.3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where was I at 22? I was graduated already. I was out.
My son was class of 2021, and he was a young one. Thinking back, I probably should have, right? I was against it because of the same reasons we're talking about. One of my friends said, "What's the rush?" And I'm like, well, he's doing well. And so nevertheless, he went to school, but he went to school with that's COVID year. He went to school with kids who were not leaving college. He was 17 going there.
Wow.
17 going there.
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah, he turned 18 to September 5th, around there, right? Not saying around here. Yeah, September 5th. So start school August, whatever, September 5th. But he's rooming with a 21-year-old.
21. Oh, okay.
But they have a whole basketball house, and the oldest person is 26. So I can see why I could have, right? I see the flip side of it. I see kids who reclass and think, like you said, they're going to grow the next 5 inches and still 5'6" and never grew any further. I have one player who's a good friend of the family who did reclass, and he grew. It worked out for him. He grew the 5-6 inches. He's 6'4" point guard right now. Look like a freaking stud. Maybe 6'6". I don't know. But he's like a stud and got a top D1 offer. So it's a catch-22. It all depends on your reasoning for doing it, right? Is it solely on the sport? Is it a combination of sport and academics? The one I just talked about he transferred into a Catholic school, and academics was much better. He did a year to catch up, and I mean, it worked out perfect. So for those who don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on within sports that you may hear these names or these terms, and you may be watching the NCAA and you see a kid who's 26, and these are the reasons why they're so much older and mature, is because of the reclassifications. So
and the extra year, the transfer portal has a lot of, I've read it, the big story going around is that Bleacher Report about this kid, Jawan, who's entering his 8th season at the collegiate level. And so he's up there, but, homeboy got a degree, he's done what he had to do, but he's going to be on the older end. And obviously schools keep wanting him, right? Like schools want that older leader. Whatever he's doing the right thing, and now he's going into his 8th season. And I believe in using free money in academics to get to what you need. So what's the rush of him rushing out of there to go and try to do another small percentage of trying to go pro if he doesn't have to?
That was my it wasn't my plan going in. I didn't know anything about redshirt going in, coming out of New York at the time. They didn't tell anything about it. But that's my son. My plan for my son, I said, redshirt your first year. Get the extra year, and that way you already took some some college classes in high school. By the time you do enrollment, by the time you get out of high school, you have almost have your associates. Your first year, you get associates. The plan was there. I ain't say it worked, but the plan was there.
But see, you're thinking right. You're thinking right. Where a lot of parents with that type, especially since he was young, so. You had you're thinking right on the plan. Redshirt that first year, get this, you'll get some years in the back end. We don't know what could happen, right? All that is the right play. But a lot of the times, parents of athletes, and a lot of, they watch elite athletes, right? And they say, I want my kid to be that. Or my kid says, I want to be that. And they don't know what goes into that. They don't know what goes into the top 10 ranked in their particular sport. They're waking up, they're working out, they're academically doing what they need to do. And I'm not saying every single one of them are, but I find it very hard to believe that students that are ranked that high and that have this ability on the court are not taking care of their business in the classroom. Here's the thing. They don't want to mess up their future, and they don't want to mess up now their money. Because NILs are big. If you're academically ineligible, no one's putting no money next to you. And so all of that is factoring in to these students saying this, I want to do this. But the parents who have the plan are how these students are benefiting from these things, right? And it's not because, I'm just doing what the next person is. It's because the knowledge hasn't been given everywhere. And sometimes it has been given and people ignore it. But I feel like that's why I exist, is to pass this information out. Like, listen, guys, you can say all you want. This person's reclass and this person's not. If they're taking care of business in the classroom and they have a plan and it's going to work out for them, don't hate. Figure out how you're going to get your child to get to the next level.
My question is, why hate? The system is there. Why not let them use the system? What's the rush?
What is the rush?
To go work 30 years somewhere? There's no rush to do that. And I try to tell my parents the same thing. Like, listen, whatever you have planned for them, like, first of all, let's back up. Let's let God work it out. Let's start there.
There we go. Start there.
Let God work it out. Secondly, whatever is there that they can use opportunity wise, let them use it. So you spoke on one thing real quick. I want to jump on that because you said something that most people won't know either. They hear on TV, but what is an NIL?
Oh, it's Nate. So it's a law that recently was passed, and now I think it's legal in every state for high school student athletes and for college student athletes to receive money off of their name, image, and likeness. So back in the days when we both played, we couldn't receive no money. Man, I would have.
I'm going back looking for it now.
I was like, can I get grandfathered in or something? But yeah, students are allowed to receive funds where in the past they were not on their name, image, and likeness. So companies can sponsor them or give them contracts. Obviously, your bigger contracts will come from like a Gatorade or Beats or Nike, which are some of the major contracts. But then even your local car dealership or organization can give students NIL deals, and they're able to benefit off of their name, image, and likeness. Because it was something that the NCAA has consistently been benefiting off on TV deals, March Madness, college football, you name it. So now they're giving student athletes the ability to get some of that money.
Well, you speak of NCAA. It's not even the NCAA only. It is all the way down to the school level. I did a paper on this back when I was in school that was about the student athlete, and that talked about how we fund the school and we are the biggest recruiter for schools.
Absolutely.
When you're walking around that mall and you have on your whole team gear and everything else, and you're wearing the Nike shoes and you're wearing all that stuff, people say, well, you get paid to go to school. Not paid. I'm talking about back then it was you get a scholarship. You get a scholarship to go to school, but it's not just the scholarship. It is your advertising for that school. Your sport may fund your school. Your sport may fund some other sports, right? So big schools, football sport may fund everything, right? Coming down, the smaller schools, basketball will fund volleyball, things like that. So you're doing a lot for your school that people don't understand. So NIL, will there be some wrangling around it? I think in the next couple of years, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to. It's getting bigger by the year, and there's just not enough stipulation and restrictions to it yet. So you have alumni and different people who have bigger booster clubs and things of that nature funding it a little bit more. Like I was on the internet the other day, and the whole Texas football team all got trucks. I think it's F-150s. The whole team. 85 trucks, 85 scholarship athletes. And obviously there's stipulations. You got to be a student at the school. But I'm like, whoever gave that is advertising, right? Exactly. Giving that money.
Advertising, but if I go on a recruiting visit, you showing up 85 of them outside, I'm not going anyplace else. So exactly. It's attracting the next athlete to come to the school, next biggest name to come to the school. So, but let's get back to the grassroots, because we can go. I love to have you back on another show and talk more about everything. So I don't want to leave anything out. But let's get back to the grassroots of the parents that in the AAU programs. What are your thoughts on AAU and how it's changed over the years, especially from when you and I played?
Woo! Wow. How has it changed? Well, I guess everything is on social media, right? And everything's on the internet. Back in the day, we did a move or we did something. It was very local. Somebody, word of mouth got around. Oh, she's all right. Or he could go. He could go. These days, they put it, they're videoing, they're recording. A lot of these kids are getting stardom, quote unquote, at a young age because of highlight films or ways of doing it. And I think AAU and travel basketball, travel sports, club sports have fallen into that trap because either they have to play the game or they don't get the best players, right? So you have parents and families, and I can talk from it from an elite level or a circuit level, the organization I work with, we're a circle level team. And so we'll have families trying to get their student athletes on these rosters just to say they're on the roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh, you play with this organization, so you're going to get free Nike this and this and this and this. But I'm like, are they going to play? Are they going to get a scholarship? Because I've never seen anyone get recruited from the bench. I tell parents that all the time, and they look at me like I have 5 heads. I'm like, just because a student athlete is on a roster does not give them that 1% chance. 1%. It's 1%. 1% high school student athlete to go play Division I basketball. 1%. D2, 1%. D3, 1.3. So you're talking about overall approximately a 3% chance to play collegiately at just those levels.
Mm-hmm.
How can you do that from a bench? So I think it's changed that landscape. And then for the independent programs, there are some who are tried and true, and they are continuously to develop these student athletes and really teach the game. But parents may not think they're moving fast enough, right? Like, well, how come I got to pay for this? And how come they're independent, so we have to fundraise, and it's local. So they're losing players to that bench on the circuit level if they can make the roster because, they have to fund the dream, which back in the day we all paid. I don't understand. We all paid to play a sport. It was an extracurricular activity. And so all of that is adding to the discrepancies of how teams are, right? Everyone wants to catch the big shiny shoes and the free bags and the gear and all that instead of developing the student athletes. And parents are doing the same thing, right? They want the best for their child. And if their child says, I want to go play on this Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour team, they're going to do everything in their power to get them on that team, whether it results in what it should be, a scholarship or not. And it's unfortunate. And so I see it like that.
I agree. I'm from a grassroots program. I mean, locally here in Georgia, we partnered with Adidas team. We was the feeder program for that team. I coached on both sides of it. I got to see both sides of it. And what I explained to parents is exactly what you said. If you're doing good on this team down here, we'll pull you up to the other team. But some of them can't wait long enough to get pulled up. They leave and go to another program. And I gotta respect it. It's your child. You do what you want to do with your child. The biggest thing that I would say is going back to what we just talked about the Texas, right? Mm-hmm. If you see that shiny object up there, all them F-150s, you want to go where the F-150s are. But I would say develop the talent and kill on this first level first before going up there and sitting on the bench.
But then it goes all the way back to the plan. Here it is. We both are parents. I have younger children. I even have an adopted son, and he plays in college. He's 21. He's been there, done that, right? So we got through that part. But I have little kids. My daughter comes to me and says, hey, I want to play a sport. Okay, we're going to go recreational first. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to see if you really want to do this. What the issue is, parents go, oh, my son is going to play a sport. They're class of 2075. They're the next big thing. I'm about to put all this money into it. I'm going to put them on the What? They didn't even develop. They didn't even learn the game. You didn't even let them grow into their body yet. Their voice didn't even drop. Like, develop a plan. And as a former athlete, I'm going to see you have fun. I want to see you do all that. And that means go through the levels, recreational, and then maybe we'll do a local travel, and then maybe we'll do an independent. And then if you're good enough and you really want to commit to it, we can go after that next level, which is the circuit level and so forth. A lot of parents like to skip past go, and players too. And they jump them up when they're not ready. Because I believe there are late bloomers in life. And if they're a late bloomer, listen, somebody going to grab you off of that. Somebody will find you and move you up, and then you can get it. Or there are independent programs that do it. I played for a positive direction, and I preach it till I'm blue in the face. I was not the best player on my team, and I don't care. I was not the best player, and I still got a Division I scholarship. Houseway, because my coach developed me. She made sure that I was in the gym, learning the game, and then she had me surrounded with players that were inevitably going to make me be better. So if you're in a program or your kid is in a program that has that, why leave?
Exactly. I can sit here all day with you. There's so many topics I can go on and on about. I want to find out, I know you're in the DMV area. Tell me more about your program. I know you with the I want to know exactly, but if you can, about your program or your foundation, what are you doing for yourself? How can people contact you? How can people find out more about what you're doing? I saw you had an ebook out there. Tell me everything about you that the audience can go out and find you.
Yes, I'm on social media under Shanay.y.Howard, my full name. I'm an educational consultant, licensed school counselor by day, so I do still work in the school system and help student athletes with that. But I do have an ebook out. It's called To Reclass or Not to Reclass. That is the question. I made it because I was getting this question every day, and I wanted somebody to have something in their hand. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it to paper. And it's free. The ebook is free. You can download it right from my site, www.pureballers.org. And I'm having a webinar, and I'm starting a webinar series. And this Thursday, actually coming up, I'm going to have a webinar. And that's some of the things I'm going to discuss: reclassification, NCAA eligibility, what are college coaches looking for? All of that is going to be on my webinar. And follow my page. I drop a lot of free knowledge, and people, come to me every day like, why are you giving all this for free? And number one, it is free. If you Google it, it is free. But I'm giving some reason and expertise behind this and bringing it to the forefront so people stop glossing over it, because it should be. My goal is to help as many families and parents out there so that if you're armed with the right information, when you are presented with the opportunity to get a scholarship, you're going to know. You're going to know what you're doing. And if you want to try, want to do that reclassification or those ways, you'll know how to go about it or why not to go about it.
Well, I consider this, I'm going to say it's probably your same thing. I consider this my ministry. Giving back to families, giving back to kids. Somebody did it for me. Somebody did it for you. Somebody picked us up. Somebody took us around. Somebody helped us at certain times. We didn't know a lot of things, and somebody helped us. Or the things we didn't know, we wish somebody was around like yourself to help us and guide us through those things. So definitely continue being a blessing for these, not only athletes, but for the families and for the programs out here. And you said you're in the schoolhouse, definitely covering over you. Much blessings over you and the kids that are in the schools. I worked in the schoolhouse, and Lord, I don't know how y'all do it. Lord, I used to I'm in IT. I go sit in my office. No, I can't do it.
It keeps me young. It keeps me young,
Yeah, you said 21-year-old. I was looking at you. I was like, I can't believe it. But
I didn't birth him, but he came to live with me when he was 13 years old. So yes.
But no, you said 97 too. I said no.
Don't let the young face fool you. See, it keeps me young. I'm in the schoolhouse.
I hear you. Well, it's great talking to you. You already told where you can find you at. Listen, everybody, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Drop her a line. Drop her a voicemail. I will definitely pass it on to her. Or you can go to cousinedscorner.com. That's cousinedscorner.com. Leave a voicemail there. I can definitely share with her. Listen, I tell everybody the keys are under the mat, right? So you want to come back. Mm-hmm. The dark is down. I don't know if you do this, but the dark is down low and the light is up top. The red cup's right there. Come over to Cousin Ed's Corner anytime you want to come back. Let me know, and I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. We're out of here. We love each and every one of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
Hey, y'all. Aisha here, founder and CEO of the Sistahs in Business Expo, the country's only multi-city small business expo and community created to celebrate and educate entrepreneurial women of color. Be sure to tune in to the next episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And remember, when my sister wins, we all win.
This episode of Cousin Ed's Corner was brought to you by the Sistah Shop. Please be sure to visit them at thesistahshop.com. That's thesistahshop.com. Thesistahshop.com. Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.